Welcome back to Washington and the second meeting of the season between Virginia Tech and Georgetown. Seth Greenberg, in his first year as coach of the Hokies, he will be the only man to ever coach a Virginia Tech team in a Big East tournament. Of course, the Hokies are leaving for the ACC next year. His counterpart, Craig Esherick, wants desperately to become the only Georgetown coach to have a team miss the Big East tournament. Craig is in his 6th year since taking over for the man who was his head coach when Craig was a player at Georgetown, John Thompson. These two teams met, Bob, back on February 11th in Blacksburg, and the Hokies whacked the Hoyas pretty good, 80-65 in that one.
Did you ever think you'd be in a situation where Georgetown would have a must-win game just to get to their own tournament? But I think Craig Esherick feels very good about today's game. Being home here, kids are excited. They need to understand the significance of the game.
Bryant Matthews and Cortland Freeman jumping center, and the tap is controlled by the Hokies. Frank Scagliotta, Ed Corbett, and Mike Stevens are our officials today, and the Hoyas start out man-to-man.
Always, and just been always a trademark of Georgetown is their aggressive man defense.
Marcus Sales, defended by Gerald Riley, up top to Philip McCandy. Gordon, down low to Matthews, he faces the hoop. Goes around Bowman and feeds Gordon nicely. Return pass to Matthews. He juggled it. McCandy's inside, and it's tipped in by Matthews.
Well, McCandish is, kind of a surprise starter, but Coleman Collins has been having back spasms, so they stuck him in the lineup, and he gets him on the board right away.
Collins didn't practice Monday or Tuesday, yet came out Wednesday and won the game with a tip-in at the buzzer to beat Rutgers. Freeman with an off-balance shot. Rebound Matthews, already his second.
Yeah, not a good shot, and there's a breakout.
Gordon underneath, ball fake. Dowdell, 4-0 Hokies.
That's not a good sign. Georgetown wanted to get off to a good start, coming off that just horrible game against Notre Dame where they only shot 27% and really struggled scoring. They wanted to get out of the blocks early, and Virginia Tech's taking it right at them.
Gordon deflects the ball out of bounds. He'll do that a lot for Seth Greenberg's club as we look at the lineup. Two freshmen in the backcourt in Gordon and Dowdell, and Georgetown turns the ball over.
Well, you have two teams here that have been very good defensively on occasion, but Virginia Tech has given up a lot of easy baskets, and teams shoot well against them.
Same five that's gone to war every night for the Hoyas will do so again on Senior Day. On the floor, Sales leaves for Dowdell for three. Up and over the backboard, and it will go back to the Hoyas. Craig Esherick was telling me before the game, Bob, I asked him, I said, do you feel pressure about getting to the conference tournament? He says, yes. And I said, and how about the players? And he says, they're not immune to it. They feel the same pressure. We don't want to be home when everyone else is in New York next week.
Well, I can tell you this, they don't feel this. They feel pressure, but let me tell you, having sat in that seat he's sitting in, you don't ever feel the same pressure. Their jobs aren't on the line.
Owens lobs it down low. Bowman faces the basket. He's been on a roll of late. Turnaround jumper. Long rebound. Comes down to Dowdell.
So far, they're making shots a lot harder than they need to be. They've turned the ball over and had two fadeaway jump shots. They've got to get the ball inside and really go at people and get Riley off the blocks.
Matthews baseline is blocked by Freeman, and Owens comes the other way. And a reach-in foul will be called on Gordon, the first foul of the afternoon. We caught a glimpse of Georgetown's starts in its last two games. They have scored a total of 30 points in the first half of their last two.
Yeah, this is a really good rotation inside by Freeman. He comes over, makes a play on the basketball. In the early going, it just looks like Virginia Tech is so much more relaxed, and that might be part of what we were talking about, the importance of the game. Georgetown feeling the pressure.
Riley splits the defense and lays it in.
That's what Georgetown has to get more of, is plays to the basket, not fadeaway jumpers away from the basket.
Riley just 3 of 13 in a loss at Notre Dame on Thursday, and 0 for 11 a week ago tonight at Seton Hall.
One of the things that's been impressive about Virginia Tech is the fact that they're playing with a freshman backcourt in a very competitive league and have done it well.
Dowdell with the great open look. McCandless set the screen.
Yeah, you don't expect two freshmen to start in your backcourt and be as effective as they have in taking care of the ball and really providing leadership for this offense.
Hokies committed only 5 turnovers in their win over Rutgers the other night. Matthews combining for the steal with Sales. Riley with the reach-in foul, the first on Georgetown.
Well, one of the things that Virginia Tech is doing is whenever there is a dribble screen, they're doubling up on the basketball. I think Georgetown's going to have to make some kind of an adjustment because they've been trapped twice now, one of them resulting in a turnover.
Georgetown only turned the ball over 5 times the other night at Notre Dame, but only forced 5 turnovers. A team which leads the conference in steals had only 1 steal in South Bend.
That's very unusual, but also if there's ever a time when you have a chance to do that, this should be that opportunity. Like I say, pushing the pressure up on these freshman guards from Virginia Tech.
Hokies turned the ball over as McCandy's clearly had the foot well over the end line as he received that pass from Gordon.
I like what Virginia Tech's doing, though. They're taking their time. They're attacking the basket. They're really going at Georgetown.
Nice look inside for Riley, or Freeman rather. The shot was blocked, but a foul will be called.
Yeah, McCandless got him on the wrist. You could see that, and he was not able to deliver the basketball. But once again, kind of a breakdown defensively. They got the switch wrong, Virginia Tech did, and Freeman was able to get the ball inside. Probably should have used a pump fake, but you like to see players take the ball strong to the basket.
Freeman, a 70.7% free throw shooter. The Hoyas are an excellent free throw shooting team, 3rd in the conference at 71.9%. But Bob, they like to take jump shots, and you don't get to the line very often when you do that.
Well, 2 things. You know, you shoot the ball well from the free throw line. You should be able to shoot it well from the floor. I think they make too many hard shots for themselves, and it kind of compounds itself. Once you miss a couple, everybody starts looking around. It becomes contagious.
5-point Hokies lead. We've played 3.5 minutes. Gordon juggles the ball. Picked up by Dowdell. Defended by the 6'6" Riley, who has tremendous wingspan for a 2-guard. Shot clock down to 10. Matthews puts it on the floor. Step back, jumper. Barely got the front of the rim, but Gordon with the rebound and a fresh 35.
Doesn't score the basket, but that's what a guy like Matthews does for you. I'm not sure Georgetown has that guy. Matthews is a guy that when everything else fails, he can create or get baskets for you. Teams have to have that.
Long jumper by Gordon. Back rims it, and up in the air. That kind of stretch for Georgetown. Freeman went way up for the rebound. It goes off his knee and out of bounds. The Hoyas have had the ball 6 times, and they've scored only 2 points. Five-point Virginia Tech lead, and Bob, sometimes transition baskets start with defensive rebounding.
Well, here you got Freeman taking the ball very softly to the basket, and then they leaked Dowdell out, and I don't think Georgetown was really anticipating that Virginia Tech would take the ball quickly down the floor. Easy basket. One of the things we talked about at the break, and that is that Georgetown has to step up the pressure. They don't shoot the ball well enough. They've got to get some easy score off of steals.
And talk about an easy score. The Hoyas not defending the inbound very well underneath the Hokies hoop.
They tried to 2-3 the inbounds, and Matthews just slid down the lane, and nobody really checked him, and next thing you know, you got a basket.
The trap is set. Amadou Kilkenny Jow, number 44, in for the Hoyas, and Bowman hits the runner. Bowman has averaged 18.5 points and 13 rebounds in his last 2. Matthews is triple team. Gives to Dowdell. Kilkenny Jow now getting the assignment off the bench on Matthews.
Well, one of the things that's really helped Virginia Tech's young guards, Gordon and Dowdell, is the fact that they've got a guy like Matthews who can create inside, and as a result, double foul here. Too much pushing and shoving.
Gordon and Owens will each get whistled for a foul by Frank Scagliotta.
Esherick's not very happy about this. But, you know, once again, as a coach, I'm not sure that's all bad because Georgetown has been a little bit lethargic. It's kind of good to see him mixing up here, and Craig's really going to complete his case here.
Well, he obviously would have preferred a foul not be called on his man, but in the exchange, Gordon picks up his 2nd personal, and he will get a quick seat from Seth Greenberg with still 15 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, getting back to the point that I was trying to make, because Matthews, when he handles the ball, creates so much attention, that gives Dowdell and Gordon some opportunities on the perimeter that they may not otherwise have. Riley, on the other hand, because he doesn't have an inside presence for Georgetown, is always being face guarded. Now we see Georgetown in their 2-3. They're trying to match up out of that, and they're trying to play the 3 perimeter guys with the 2 guards.
Marcus Sales misses the 3. We'll get a rebound foul on the Hokies. Coleman Collins is checked in the game. He, as we mentioned, has been bothered by a bad back. Also, Sean Harris is checked in.
Well, they get a wide open look at the basket after good rotation. There's no question there. Matthews comes in, pushes him out from underneath, and I think the officials have made a decision early on that they're going to keep this game under control rather than let it get out of hand physically, knowing the importance of the game really for both teams.
First on Matthews, already 4 on the team. Hoyas with the ball. Riley, foot was on the line. It's a 2.
That's just good offense. Now you get a little penetration, draw the defense, find the open guy, and he's not shooting a fadeaway or a forced shot.
Riley has really struggled from the perimeter the last couple of games out. And if anyone needs to get something to go down early to get some confidence, it would be Riley. Matthews catch and shoot, rebound Bowman.
Oh, I'll tell you what, though, Georgetown's not going to get away with that. You give Matthews that was way too easy. Straight flash. He's got the ball looking at the free throw line. I think it surprised him, and as a result, he missed the shot. But they're going to have to cover that up, or Matthews going to go off big on him.
And the reach-in foul is going to be called on the Hokies. That will be already team foul number 5. It's on Dowdell and another shot.
Virginia Tech elected to man-to-man the inbounds, which a lot of teams are hesitant about, and they just confuse their defensive assignment. Dowdell ends up not being able to cover.
1-point Virginia Tech lead. Dowdell, baseline Matthews, defended by Freeman. So we've seen 3 different Georgetown players guard Matthews in the first 5 minutes. Ashanti Cook with the rebound.
Well, this change of defense has created some opportunities for Georgetown, but there may be a false sense of security.
And Cook buries his 27th 3 of the year, and Seth Greenberg wants time.
Yeah, that's a good run for Georgetown.
Georgetown trailed 7-2 early, and a 7-0 run has given the Hoyas their first lead of the afternoon.
Well, what they're doing now, which they didn't do early in the game, is they're taking things as they present themselves. You know, he's coming down. If you're not going to guard me, I'm going to shoot the basketball. Anybody within 15 feet of him, and he just steps up and knocks it down. Georgetown has a hard enough time scoring that you can't give them open looks. If you keep them under pressure, then they're going to struggle. But that there is way too easy. I'm sure Seth Greenberg's going to say, guys, we got to do a better job in transition.
So the Hoyas, with that run in the last 61 seconds, have taken the lead for the first time. Georgetown 13th in the 14-team Big East in field goal shooting, but Virginia Tech's only 12th, Bob. So we have a couple of clubs who, throughout the course of the season, have really had trouble making shots consistent.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and for Georgetown, they've got to get some easy opportunities. Good look.
Bowman stepped in and knocked it away and was last touched by the Hokies, and now Matthews exchanging some words with his teammate Collins.
Yeah, he's got to step to the basketball. I mean, this isn't a great play, but Matthews had Collins open. Collins has got to step across and seal and not let the defender slide in. If he does, he's going to have a layup. So Matthews, I think, as a senior, saying, hey, look, you've got to help me out on this. They got me trapped in the corner. Give me some help.
Let me ask you something. As a guy who spent a lot of time coaching this game, do you like it when one player does that to another on the court like that?
I do, especially when it's a senior talking to a younger player. I think sometimes it tells you a little bit about the chemistry of your team, because if they start nitpicking each other, no, it's not good. Collins understands Matthews' role in this team, and Matthews serves as Seth Greenberg's coach on the floor. So, yes, I think in this instance it's good.
Foul was on Harris, his first, already 6 team fouls on the Hokies. So the Hoyas are going to be spending a lot of time here in the first half shooting free throws. And as we mentioned, they are a good foul shooting team. Great anticipation for Callaway, but his pass then hit me between my numbers. And the last I looked, I had no eligibility left.
Yeah, you got Matthews, and Seth Greenberg's trying to calm him down because, you know, he's a very competitive kid. He wants to win more than anyone, and he just feels like they're not in sync right now. And I'm sure he's as mad at himself as he is as the other players.
The last foul on Matthews is second instead of on Harris. Bowman for 3. Got it!
I think what you're going to see here very quickly is you're going to see him stop double-teaming the ball on pick and roll, because Georgetown's figured out They're flaring the screen guy, reversing the ball. He's wide open.
Georgetown has hit both of its threes. 27-3 of the year for Bowman, who has good range for someone 6'9". Dowdell from deep. Long rebound. Bowman chases down on a hop.
Freshman mistake there. I think sometimes when you're not going well, you need to take time. He got in a hurry. They need to settle down a little bit.
Freeman turnaround in traffic. Rebound Coleman Collins. Georgetown by 5. We played 7.5 minutes. This is a 12-0 Hoyas run. They've lost 7 in a row since beating Miami on February 7th. Longest losing streak since the 1971-72 season. Pass deflected out of bounds. 17 to shoot for the Hokies.
Well, and the losing streak has really been ugly. You got the last 2 games, they didn't score 50 points, shooting 27% from the field, and really just have not been nearly as competitive. But, you know, we're looking at a little bit different Georgetown team out here today. I think they understand the importance of this game.
Is checked in for the Hokies, the quarterback on the Virginia Tech football team, number 5. Harris drives, runs right into Freeman in the lane, and on the loose ball, we're going to get a foul call on Sean Harris. His first already 7 on the Hokies, so that will create the 1-and-1. So with 11:55 to go, the officials, this is hysterical. The way that the scoreboard is positioned here at the MCI Center, it's impossible for the announcers to see it, and it's darn difficult for the officials to see it. So they're looking up there to see, is that 17 fouls? Are we shooting free throws, or are we going to immediate timeout here? And they finally decided, yep, that's 7.
Well, Harris got in too deep. He made a good move. He collapsed the defense, but he got in too deep, and then when he lost the ball, he committed the cardinal sin. One mistake led to 2, and he fouled. And now all of a sudden we got Georgetown to 1-and-1. So we got it right this time. We are going to go to break.
So Causey misses the front end of the 1-and-1. Matthews says to Collins, come on, pay attention. Timeout. Georgetown by 5.
Irish, don't give up a thing.
It's a 5-point Georgetown lead. One other Big East game underway as we check the Ameritrade out-of-town scoreboard. And Boston College with an early jump all over Providence. The Friars could still conceivably finish in a 3-way tie for the Big East regular season title, but not with a loss today. As far as Boston College and their postseason hopes, already 20 wins, 9-6 in the league. I'd say a virtual lock for the NCAA tournament.
Little 2-1-2 full court press by Georgetown. I think coming out of the timeout, good idea. Just give them a different look, but back into that 2-3 zone. You know, Georgetown shooting 41% from the year. All of a sudden, they're 6 for 9 for 67% from the field, and that's after missing their first couple of shots. Where Virginia Tech has settled into 4 for 13 and is really struggling.
Making 4 for 14. Harris with the miss, but Callaway with the putback.
Yeah, that's the thing you can't if you're Georgetown allow to happen, but it's a good sign for Virginia Tech that they're active on the backboard.
Virginia Tech had gone scoreless for 4 minutes before that putback. Bowman to Owens. Long 3. Rebound knocked around and comes out to Callaway.
Matthews still on the bench. You know, that's interesting. I don't know if he's got 2 fouls, but kind of thought he might be back out there as Georgetown has made this run.
Dowdell defended by Causey as the Hoyas really extend the defense. Back to the man-to-man. Harris spins in the lane, lost it off his knee, but Collins was Johnny on the spot and will get fouled.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Harris had, I mean, he did everything you could do to give up the basketball, but somehow it ended up in a pretty easy opportunity. I mean, he dribbled it off his knee, fumbled it off his hands. He really went in there blind, but it worked out for him. Now you just got to have, Collins has to make the free throws.
And that is something that he has struggled with this year. 44.2% from the line is Collins. The foul was on Amadou Kilkenny-Jow, his first 3 on the team. Collins was the hero the other night, Bob, and when he made the tip-in at the buzzer to beat Rutgers, and put Virginia Tech in the Big East tournament for the first time ever. The students stormed the floor and chanted MSG.
Well, the thing about Collins is I don't know why he shoots so poorly from the free throw line. You look at his shot there, the rotation's good, and both of them hit right dead center, so a lot of that's just mental.
I'll tell you why he made those two, because I mentioned what his free throw.
Exactly, that's the way it always works.
Cook gets the screen at the high post, took it right to the rim. The late block by Callaway. Dowdell picked up in transition by the 6'9" Bowman and shoots over.
But a game of runs, and Virginia Tech coming out of that timeout. Now they've strung some things together. Made a little change down here when the pick and roll, instead of doubling it, they're now sliding underneath it and playing it straight up. And there's going to be a foul there, no question to push. McCandless was all over Freeman trying to push him out of the high post, body up on him, and they're not going to let that happen.
Well, I mentioned that this was a late block. Or was it a legal block in the last Georgetown possession?
Well, we're going to look at it right here. Yeah, I think it's on the way up. Sometimes those things, because a guy slaps it off the board, they look a lot more dramatic than they are. But a good rotation, a good play for Georgia Tech results in them coming down and converting. As we mentioned before, little run here. Freeman needs to make some free throws to kind of put a stop to the Virginia Tech run.
Second foul on McCandy's 8 on the team. Freeman, 6'9" senior out of Sakaski High School in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then Riley will be departing. And chatting with Craig Esherick before the game, Craig said, I think if we can get off to a good start today, it can make many of our troubles go away, because they got off to awful starts Saturday against Seton Hall and Thursday against Notre Dame and never recovered.
Well, Riley scored early, and here comes the press again, 3-quarter. Now it's full. They'll try to trap it on the sideline. Good job of reversing the ball by Virginia Tech.
Callaway cross court to Randall, joining the team just in time for the conference season. Following the conclusion of the Virginia Tech football season, he was an outstanding high school basketball player, but this is his first go-round as a collegiate hoop player. Up top, Dowdell. This is Randall. Throws up the 3. Rebound, Collins tried to save and could not.
I think that's probably fairly accurate, the throw part. He looked like he had a guy going down and out on that one. I think he's got to be a little bit more into their offense and let some other guys shoot the basketball. Sometimes you're open for a reason. Just because you're open, that's not necessarily the reason to shoot.
Well, it didn't look pretty, but he is 11 for 32 from three-point range for the year. Cook with the runner, gets the roll.
Georgetown is just after that early 3 or 4 minutes. They've just been so much more aggressive to the backboard. I think Harris's confidence a little bit shaky. He struggled with the ball. He's fumbled it a couple of times. Now he shot a ball almost that didn't touch anything, and now he's short. He may need to come out and just get a little bit of a breather, because I think, mentally he's really struggling with the way he's playing.
Cook with 5 points. He and Bowman were high school teammates at Westchester High School in the Los Angeles area. Hokies have missed 7 of their 8 3-pointers. Cook to Riley, and a hold will be called, I believe, on Randall, as he tried to prevent Riley from getting to the pass. That's 1 on Randall and 9 on the team. And Riley will go to the line, and he's a great free throw shooter at 85%.
Well, the defender tried to force himself through the screen, and when he found out that he wasn't going to be able to do that and he was going to trail, he just reached out and grabbed Riley. I thought when they got Riley off early, when he made that early basket, I thought that may lead to some bigger and better things. But realistically, he just hasn't had a lot of touches on the basketball. I think they've got to get him more involved in their offense and let him create and do some things. Some other guys are stepping up and shooting the ball a little bit quickly without him having a chance to do what he does. And he is by far, I think, their best all-around player.
He's only had 2 shots and he's made them both. Life without Mike Sweetney in the middle has been very different for Riley in particular and Georgetown as a team this year.
Yeah, that's been the big difference. Talking to Craig earlier before the game, he made the comment that they're just bodying up and really face guarding Riley everywhere. Virginia Tech is going to need to flash somebody in the middle of the press to break this press, and there's the worst place you can pick the ball up.
And Sales threw it away. So one of their passes went to our table. That one went to the table on the other side.
Well, Sales has got to pull up before he hits the 10-second line, because once he crosses the 10-second line and gets trapped in this corner, Georgetown picks up 2 defenders, the 10-second line and the out-of-bounds line. So he's got to be a little bit more careful before he rushes into trouble.
5th turnover for the Hokies. Bolton goes right around Callaway, but was stripped from behind by Dowdell, who gets the return pass. And the foul will be called on Causey.
Well, as it turned out, he missed the basket, so it could be a good foul. Had a guy wide open underneath the basket, and Owens really missed him. He had a chance here, and here he comes. I don't think Dowdell sees him. He kind of relaxes because he looks over his left shoulder, and Causey's coming from the right. I think it surprises him.
Dowdell will go to the line, 6'2" freshman from Hokies, Florida. Already with 7 points this afternoon. Second leading scorer on the Virginia Tech team.
Well, he clapped his hands after the foul because he knew that he should have converted that. Like I say, he got a little bit casual, looked over the wrong shoulder. Causey, give him credit, hustled back, makes him earn the 2 free throws.
This is Virginia Tech's 4th season in the Big East, 4th and last. They have qualified for the conference tournament for the first time, and Seth Greenberg says, I know it seems like a modest goal, but it is an accomplishment. It's something we've never done before. Now we want very badly to finish 500, and if we do, we think we have a chance for an NIT bid.
Well, as long as they stay close, it's apparent that Seth Greenberg is going to leave Matthews on the bench.
Riley drives. He's 3 for 3.
Yeah, they've got to get him the ball because right now Virginia Tech doesn't have an answer, and when they don't get him the ball, they're playing into Virginia Tech's hands.
5-point Hoyas lead. Riley had 24 points before fouling out against the Hokies when these two teams met on February 11th in Blacksburg.
They need to look inside. The middle is opening up. They're just not getting the ball in there. They're too concerned with passing the ball on the perimeter.
Harris now 0 for 4 from the floor. Quickly in transition. Pull up. Oh!
Georgetown has got to get some easy baskets, which that was one, because when you're only shooting 41% from the field, it's hard enough to find baskets out of your regular offense. You need to get some easy ones, and they're shooting 64% as a result of it.
On the right court, 2-3 Hoya zone. Riley at 6'6", extending the arms at the front of that zone. It can be difficult to penetrate. Right through the wickets of Harris. He has had a rough 13 minutes. Timeout, 6:59 to go. First half, final game of the regular season. If Georgetown wins, they head for the Big East tournament. If not, they get out the Go Mountaineer banners for tonight's game against Miami. Welcome back to this ESPN Plus presentation of Big East basketball. Georgetown with a 7-point lead over Virginia Tech. And it's time now for the Pontiac Top Performance of the Week. And it goes to Pittsburgh's outstanding freshman, Chris Taft. In a very important game, Bob, Tuesday at Providence, all he did was get 24 and 6 and put the Panthers in position to wrap up the #1 seed in the conference tournament with a win today.
Yeah, and those are the kind of plays you can't have. Unforced errors. Our stat guy, Marty, who's the best, tells us that 5 turnovers for Tech against Rutgers the other night, and in the first 13 minutes they already have 6.
These are teams which generally take great care of the ball. Virginia Tech first, Georgetown second in the Big East in turnover margin. Gordon penetrates, pass deflected. Callaway, the Hoyas are all over the place defensively on this possession.
Doing a nice job defensively. I tell you, they're getting really good coverage out of their 2 guards.
Matthews backing with 2 fouls, and Harris now 0 for 5 from the floor. 2-on-1.
Say one thing, he's not shy. He's not been discouraged. If there's ever been if you've ever heard the theory, shoot your way out of a slump, you're watching it right here today. But I just think he's got to become more of a role player here and start to pass the ball. Sometimes it isn't going to happen for you. As a coach, I'm thinking, hey, let's work this out at halftime.
Well, it depends who the guy is. Here's the inbound pass headed our way again. And Matt Causey goes flying into our table. Gordon with the alley-oop pass to Matthews.
Well, Craig Esherick Hokies got to be pulling his hair out because you've got the last 2 of the last 3 times down. They've got unforced errors. I mean, just simple plays that are passing the ball from A to B, and they can't give up opportunities like that.
Causey for 3. Can't get it to go, but Owens kept the rebound alive and then keeps it alive again. Causey got a hand out, and here come the Hokies 3-on-3. Well, I think we got everything back up right here after that unexpected visit from Matt Causey.
Causey's one of those guys you love to have on your team because of the way he plays.
Rebound, Owens loses his footing. And a foul is called on Harris. That will be his second. And that's number 10 on the Hokies. So everything will be 2 shots for the remaining 5:33 for Georgetown.
Well, I wondered if this was going to happen. I thought Seth Greenberg was at a point where he had to make a critical decision. The game was getting a little bit away from him, and he elected to come back with Matthews, even though he's got the 2 fouls. He's got Matthews back in the lineup, and it's a really good move on his part because he's got to make sure this thing doesn't get away from him. And Matthews, for some reason today, seems like he's a little bit irritated. I don't know what the deal is, but just like even on that play when they were walking down the floor, he was kind of shaking his head. So I don't know what you know, it's a competitive kid, but for some reason he seems to be a little bit more upset than usual.
Hoyas is only 4 of 8 from the line, making 5 of 9 as Owens goes 1 for 2 after a brief rest. Riley replaces Owens. Both of these 2 teams go with their main guys a lot. Georgetown, 4 players average over 30 minutes in conference games. Virginia Tech has 4 guys who average over 30 minutes in all games.
But Georgetown's getting some good play off their bench, not necessarily in the form of numbers, but like Causey is really giving them good play today. And, you know, one of the good things is when you're only playing 6, 7 guys, if you play a lot of zone, you can rest your guys on defense. So I don't think that's as big a factor as foul trouble might be.
Dowdell with the shot clock at 10. Matthews for 3. Riley in the lane for the rebound. Here comes Georgetown, 4 on 3 if they hurry. Bowman. It's been a quiet opening half for Bowman. Backs in on a much shorter Dowdell, but then passed out of it.
Well, and they got to go right back. I mean, you know, Georgetown needed to go right back rather than let Virginia Tech make that adjustment defensively. Just roll him in the post and go right back at him.
Instead, it's Freeman gets inside Matthews, who, despite the 2 fouls, contested the shot.
Well, I didn't know where he was at and got himself in too deep and really didn't have the board to work with.
Dowdell to Matthews, puts it on the floor, and we'll get to the foul line, and that is something he does better than any player in the Big East. He averages 9.5 free throw attempts per game.
Well, he's long, and he's got a really, really good physique, but he's long, and yet he can put the ball on the floor. So you got a guy that can post you. He can catch the ball in the high post and get to the basket going left or right, or he can step out and knock down a 3 occasionally. So he's a guy, as I mentioned in the pregame, that is a really tough matchup for anybody in the Big East, let alone Georgetown.
First foul on Bowman, 5 on the Hoyas. Causey gets a rest. Seth Greenberg told me that Bryant Matthews has carried his team more than any other player in the Big East this year. Madison Square Garden is still the mecca of college basketball, and he deserves the chance to play in a Big East tournament.
Well, he does, you know, and the thing about it is that he's a guy that gets better as the game goes on. You know, he's a guy that we need to look for in the last 6, 8 minutes of the game, because if it's a close game, he can wear people out and take over a game.
He did against Rutgers the other night. He scored 9 straight points in a 21-3 run to decide the game. Hokies were down by 15 with 12 minutes to go, and they won it by 1. Now the shot clock's at 10 for the Hoyas. Bowman puts it on the floor, beats down low Freeman. He's doubled. Kick out Bowman for 3. Air ball, rebound Sales, and here come the Hokies.
Freeman just got away with throwing Matthews to the floor, but fortunately for Virginia Tech, the ball rebounded on the other side. The official didn't see it.
Dowdell directs traffic at the 3:40 mark. Georgetown has already scored 9 more points in the first half today than they did Thursday in South Bend.
Well, they're back into that man-to-man, too. Good switch there. He just didn't see the basketball.
Randall with the shot clock at 10. The rebound, Callaway inside. He has 2 putbacks. Matthews went down hard.
Yeah, really went down hard. I'm surprised they're not checking on him, but he's up and running again. But went to the board and got undercut a little bit off balance. Fortunately, he didn't get hurt.
Owens penetrates, feeds. Freeman missed the reverse. Matthews with his 4th rebound.
Yeah, Freeman's got to be, I mean, he's just been finessing too much. He's got to get the ball and go strong to the basket. Almost every one of his shots has been a finesse play, and he's really having a hard time converting, and they need for him to convert. He's 0 for 4, and he's had really good looks at the basket.
Sails, Dowdell. In traffic, penetrates to Callaway. Went up for the dunk. And instead we'll get to the foul line. Foul is on Portland Freeman. That will be his first and number 6 on the Hoyas.
Yeah, good dump. You know, you create off the dribble, good dump off, an excellent thrust to the basket. Freeman came over, probably a good foul, make him earn at the free throw line. But, you know, Dowdell and Gordon, for freshmen, have really shown a maturity beyond their years and have given Seth Greenberg, I think by his own admission, tremendous guard play for 2 first-year players.
Callaway already with a productive effort off the bench today. But Bob, as a former coach, I know you like to prepare for everything. Did you ever lose a player in a shoot-around with a jammed finger? Because Callaway jammed his finger during the shoot-around Wednesday afternoon and almost didn't play against Rutgers.
Yeah, I lost a guy in the pregame layup line, which may tell you kind of players that I was coaching at that point in time. But no, I lost a guy. And not only did he end up having a sprained ankle, they took him to the hospital, did some blood work, and he found out he had mononucleosis. It was a bad day for him.
Twice. It was a good thing.
Yeah.
Then he found out.
Yeah.
Inside, Callaway with the block. Owens with the putback and a roll up and in.
Good foul there. And these are the kind of baskets Georgetown has to get, because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the fact of the matter is they struggle scoring out of their offense. They need to get some easy baskets, and we're back into that 2-3 zone.
Gordon and Dowdell trying to penetrate the zone. They get it to Matthews, to Gordon on the wing. Dowdell to Matthews for 3. Didn't even get to the rim. Gordon with the rebound, and he'll draw the foul.
What a gift. You know, you got a guy that's as good as Matthews, shoots an air ball, and you're able to come up with a second chance. That's got to be great. One of the things that Virginia Tech's doing a nice job of, especially with Matthews in the game against that zone, they're flashing the high post. Matthews, though, rather than just being a passer, he's got to turn and pressure the basket and collapse the defense.
Second foul on Owens, 7 in the team. Gordon missing the first free throw as Causey returns for Georgetown. Gordon is a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. He underwent knee surgery back the first week in January. He came back after only missing 5 games with a torn meniscus. He leads the Big East and is 8th in the country in steals per game.
72% from the free throw line, and he fails to convert there, but he's really been a solid player for them as a freshman.
After making their first 6 free throws, the Hokies have missed their last 4. Riley to Freeman. Back to Bowman.
You need to get the ball to Riley again, let him create.
Well, they did. Can he make the 3? Not this time. Timeout, 1:31 remaining. Brian Matthews certainly headed for a berth on the All-Big East team. Causey headed our way. Matthews with the finish. Arlington.
Celebrate Arlington.
Georgetown trying to snap a 7-game losing streak, leading Virginia Tech by 4 on the Ameritrade out-of-town scoreboard in the only other Big East game underway. Providence at home, trailing by 20 to Boston College. The Friars could be the number 2 or 3 seed in the conference tournament. But how about the NCAA tournament as we look at the Friars' postseason tournament resume? And Bob, I think given the teams they've beaten and what they've done, the Friars still have a chance for a number 3 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, I think you're talking about 2 teams during the tournament. They're just playing for seeding right now. Here we get the press again. Out of that, just before that timeout, you have Riley shooting a 3-point field goal, and I got to believe Virginia Tech loves that because they have not been able to stop him on the dribble.
Matthews for 3.
There they filled the middle. Virginia Tech filled the middle, hit the middle turn, created 3-on-2, found Matthews in the corner. Interestingly enough, the Virginia Tech Hokies are 44% from 2-point field goals and only 1 for 10, now 2 for 11 from 3-point area.
Callaway with the weak side block. He has really been productive off the bench.
Yeah, they've gotten good play off the bench. Georgetown has, and really Virginia Tech has gotten some good play. Matthews going out now, game back to some semblance of competitiveness for Seth, and I think he's thinking in terms of trying to get out of the half without the third foul.
That was the third block of the game already for Callaway. With that basket, Matthews with 11. He's in double figures now for the 46th consecutive game as Cook buries his second three.
Well, you got a guy here that he just fundamentally just makes a pump fake and gets a wide open shot. Virginia Tech's going to probably hold and take it, but you're going to get a chance if Georgetown rebounds a miss or takes it out of bounds. We'll have a chance to rush it down and maybe get a score before the half.
8 points for Cook. 6 seconds difference between the shot clock and game clock. Harris finally makes one. He missed his first 4. Shot clock now off. And Craig Esherick with his use it or lose it timeout here with 13.3 remaining. Coming up on the ESPN Plus halftime report, it's been a thrilling regular season in the Big East. We will take you back and look at some of the more exciting moments. And we will also have scores from around the Big East and around the country, and also first half highlights from this one. That's all coming up at halftime. 1-point Georgetown lead, and what do you think Craig Esherick wants to run out of this timeout?
Well, I think he's got to get the ball into Riley's hands and hope that he can create a shot either for himself or someone else. They're going to chase the ball down, and one of the things he wants to be careful of, he's got to be talking to his guys. Look, once the ball goes up, let's don't fall asleep with a couple of seconds left and let their get a breakout or commit a silly foul in the backcourt.
And speaking of fouls, with 2 fouls already, Matthews will sit out the last 13 seconds at the defensive end.
Looks like we're going to get changed 1-3, 1 half-court trap.
Pausing on the left, penetrates, nice dish to Freeman with 4 remaining. Still time to do something. But instead, Randall takes the shot from about 60 feet. So Georgetown, who has not won a game since February 7th against Miami, has lost 7 in a row, longest losing streak in 32 years, has a 3-point lead over Seth Greenberg's Virginia Tech team at halftime.
Digital cable plus HBO for only $19.99 a month for 2 months. Call today and you could be installed tomorrow.
Georgetown by 3 as we start the second half. Bob Picozzi and Bob Weltlich back in Washington, D.C. And Ashanti Cook with the ball for the Hoyas. Riley on the left. Georgetown going with the same 5 that it started with at the beginning of the day. Same for Virginia Tech. Bowman baseline.
Yeah, once again, Tech comes out, they go to their man-to-man, and they're trapping. They're back now again like they started the game, trapping the pick and roll. And Georgetown did a good job of finding the flare man, and he took it to the basket.
9 points for Bowman. Matthews with the miss. Rebound pulled down by Owens.
I think this first 5 to 7 minutes is going to be the difference right here. I just think you can't make those kinds of mistakes.
Only the 7th turnover for the Hoyas, and it results in a Gordon layup at the other end.
That happens when you get the wrong guys handling the ball. Guards need to be the guys handling the basketball. And when your big guys decide to become guards, it usually gets you in trouble, as was the case with Bowman. 2 straight turnovers.
Yep, 2nd straight turnover. Now, Georgetown, Bob, in its last 2 games, shot a combined 19% in the first half. Big difference today.
Well, 50%, but if you're Seth Greenberg, you got to feel pretty good. You were only down 3 at half, shooting 36%. A big part of that was their ability to get some easy baskets off offensive rebounds. Also good because Matthews was on the bench for 7 minutes, and you're only down by 3 at halftime. Matthews puts it on the floor and uses the left hand. Gordon tried to tap, and then on the rebound, last touch by the Hokies. Georgetown, this is what the Hoyas did the last 2 times out in the first half, and what they've done today. Well, no, there's no comparison, but today, in fact, it would have been better if they hadn't had some early shots, some shots early in the game that were really not strong to the basket. Bowman gets the high screen from Riley, picked up on the switch by Sales, goes around it, knocked out of bounds by the Hokies. 17 to shoot for the Hoyas. Yeah, I think Craig Esherick is looking at Bowman. He lost the ball in an open floor situation. Now he's trying to create his prize, saying, look, let's get the ball in Riley's hands and share a little bit. Good inbounds, and he misses it. Can't get a better look under your basket than that, but Owens makes up for it by
picking Matthews' pocket from behind.
Yeah, Matthews wanted to foul, but the fact of the matter is that was a clean steal. And once again, one of those plays in the backcourt that you just can't have happen.
Cook drives, and he's been very active today. The sophomore from Inglewood, California, with 10 points, the 12th time this year that he's in double figures.
His baskets have been very opportunistic. You know, when they've needed a basket, he seems to come out of nowhere. When you would expect maybe Riley to do it, he comes up with a big basket.
Matthews with 11 first-half points. Dowdell, 2-3 Hoya zone.
A little bit more jammed up. I think they're really trying to keep the ball out of the middle right now.
Sales up top, shot clock all the way down to 5. Dowdell pull-up. Quickly the other way comes Cook. Dowdell with 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting as we get our first foul of the second half. This one will be on Virginia Tech. And who are they going to get for it? If it's McCandy's, it's his third. McCandy's and Dowdell both lead. Inbound comes to Freeman. It will be McCandy's third foul. Owens, right side Bowman. Step back jumper.
He made it, but I'll tell you what, I look at those kinds of shots. I've 1 or 2 passes, and they're shooting fadeaways, and sometimes I wonder, but, you know, it's hard to argue. It's one of those where the coach is saying, oh, yeah, good shot.
11 for Bowman. Harris the other way misses the shot, but follows up his own miss. And the foul counted, and the foul on Freeman is his second.
You can see the football in Harris. He's very, very aggressive. Has been all game. Doesn't easily get discouraged. Missed some shots early. Still not hesitant to take shots, and there follows up. And, you know, he's one of those guys at his size that is strong enough to get in there with people, and as you can see here, can finish plays.
6'4" sophomore from Esherick, Virginia. Missed 8 games with plantar fasciitis. Also was suspended for 3 more for a violation of team rules. Seth Greenberg has been very consistent this year when it comes to disciplining players. And one player who was also suspended who has not returned and likely won't is Fabian Davis.
Well, anytime you take over a program, anytime you're in a program period, but especially when you take over one that is predominantly freshmen, sophomores, you've got to set the bar. And however high you set the bar will determine how high they'll play.
Matthews with the steal. Harris can't finish, but gets the rebound.
Virginia Tech right now is just more aggressive. I mean, they've come up with loose balls. They've been much more aggressive for the basket. Georgetown needs to understand this, and sometimes players don't quite grasp the significance. I mean, this is a possible 1 and out for them.
Gordon blocked from behind by Bowman, who then could not quite keep it from going over the sideline. Bowman leads the team in blocked shots. That was his 33rd of the year.
Yeah, I think that Georgetown, getting back to my point, they have to realize there's a sense of urgency here. Good job blocking it from behind, but just can't quite hold on to the basketball.
4th block of the day for Bowman.
I think Craig Esherick is saying that somebody at Virginia Tech bench reached out and grabbed the ball, but that wasn't the case.
Matthews for 3. He's got 14. A lot of Virginia Tech fans have made the trip from Blacksburg to Washington today, as you can tell from the crowd reaction. And now the Georgetown fans are getting upset at the noise being made by the Virginia Tech fans, and they're cheering.
Well, they need to, that's for sure, because they've really been sitting on their hands.
Cook with the miss. Hokies with a 6-0 run looking for more. Sales quickly all the way to the goal.
Yeah, I think Craig Esherick is going to be looking here very quickly at either a timeout or he's going to probably just try to take the TV timeout. But in any case, he's got to get somebody into the game that's going to rejuvenate and increase the energy level, because right now Georgetown is a day late and a dollar short in the way they're playing, and they're running out of time as far as this season is concerned.
3rd foul on Freeman, 2nd on Georgetown this half. Amadou Kilkenny-Zhao and Matt Causey will replace Freeman and Cook for the Hoyas. Again, the situation for Georgetown, it's really quite simple. They win today and they qualify for the Big East tournament. If they lose, They need Miami to lose at home tonight to West Virginia, or the Hoyas and St. John's won't be playing in the conference tournament starting Wednesday. Timeout. Virginia Tech run has given the Hokies a 2-point lead. It's time for Shooting the Rock, brought to you by Rock Green Light, a low-carb premium light lager with only 2.4 grams of carbs. And Brandon Bowman shooting the rock successfully that time.
Well, you can see the shooting woes right now. I mean, as far as Virginia Tech, and yet they're in the lead by 2 and got to feel pretty good about themselves. Causey comes in the game.
And gets a step, the dunk, and the foul.
That may be exactly what Georgetown needed. They come out of the timeout, they work the ball, it gets the ball in the basket, tremendous dunk. What I was mentioning about Causey is that guys coming off the bench for Georgetown today have seemed to give them a lift, and it doesn't get any better than that. That's a high percentage play right there. But it's not only a play that enables you to get 2 points, it's a play that we'll see very quickly whether it can propel you to the next level energy-wise.
Or at least quiet the visiting Virginia Tech fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Third foul on Harris, third foul on the Hokies this half. This is Harris defended by Riley. Gordon guarded by the freshman Causey.
Yeah, we got right now, they're really trying to match up out of their zone. And I think it's creating a little bit of confusion.
Matthews for 3, front rims it, rebound Amadou Kilkenny-Jow. Here's Causey. Georgetown won its first 10. Best start since a 16-0 start 3 years ago when they went 25-8, went to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. But they've lost their last 7. Owens to Bowman. Up top, Causey. Back to Owens, shot clock inside 10.
Get it to Riley.
Kilkenny-Jow set the screen. Trying to get it to Riley. They finally do. It's knocked loose. Riley to Causey. He does not beat the clock. It will not count. Shot clock violation.
Yeah, Craig Esherick is asking for a review, but in that particular case, it's not going to be applicable. It's clearly not out of his hands. And as a result, they missed an opportunity. But they missed the opportunity because they really got stuck with Riley with the ball in a situation where he couldn't do much. Just not a very good offensive set for Georgetown. So we got our 1-3-1 work, and we've gone from a 2-3 to a 1-3-1, and they're trying to match up out of this, trying to cover the perimeter people.
Turning the ball over 6 times in the first half. Georgetown with 4 in the first 5:45 of the second half. Harris, shot clock at 10. Sales on the dribble drive. Leaves for Matthews. He leaves for Sales. Shot clock all the way down to 3.
I don't think they know it.
Matthews for 3.
Wow. They can't beat that. I mean, I don't really think at the point where they made the next to last pass, they were aware of it, but that's the kind of thing a guy like Matthews can do for you. That's why he's so invaluable.
He's got 17 points, 5 rebounds, his third 3 of the day. At the other end, Bowman for 3. Got it!
We got ourselves a game, but not only do we have a good basketball game, we've got people now finally excited. We've got both crowds in this basketball game.
The steal by Bowman, who then collided violently with Gordon.
Gordon was lucky he didn't get the call there, but on the flip side, Bowman may be hurt. If he wouldn't have dribbled and looked up, he really had a breakout. Riley was streaking down the court, but he was so interested in taking care of the ball.
Only other game in the Big East underway on the Ameritrade scoreboard. Boston College winning by 14. Second half at 13th ranked Providence. A lot at stake for the Friars.
Now, they don't want to lose Bowman right now. He's played well. He had 7 points at half and came out and all of a sudden got off to a great start. He's got 14 points now with 4 rebounds. And I think equally as important, he's had 4 blocked shots. He gives them, I think, a more physical presence inside than Freeman. They're going to tend to him and try to get him back in the lineup, I think, very quickly.
Lori Michael, the trainer for the Hoyas in her 25th year, tending to Bowman on the sideline. He looked like he took a shot to the face as he collided with Gordon. As Riley starts to go, we'll get a hold called on the Hokies. There's the shooting situation. First half, second half, both teams really lighting it up here. The first 6+ minutes of the second half.
Georgetown's got to be beyond themselves. Though, when you're 5 for 7, but once again, when you have turnovers, you don't get as many shots. And now they got an illegal screen, I think, on Causey.
That foul, by the way, was Matthews' 3rd and 4 on the Hokies this half. Now Georgetown whistled for its 3rd team foul in the second half on the screen.
And they were getting some, they being Virginia Tech was getting some wide open shots in the perimeter. So what they've done is they've gone to a 1-3-1. Georgetown has elected to match up with the perimeter guys. But on the flip side, now we get a little bit of a 2-guard front out of Virginia Tech, and don't be terribly surprised if they end up with a shot in the short corner on the baseline.
Instead, Callaway off the feed from Harris.
That's a showstopper if you're Georgetown. I mean, just when you think you've got something going, that's kind of one of those plays that settles things back in.
Virginia Tech by a pair. Callaway off the bench with 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 block shots. That's why Gordon leads the Big East in steals. You saw the tremendous anticipation.
That was just good defensive rotation, but he missed. He had a guy wide open.
Yeah, it was Matthews.
Yeah.
Not just a guy. Dowdell instead puts it on the floor and gets the easy layup, and Craig Esherick calls time.
Yeah, that's just, it's a bad run for Georgetown, but a great run for Virginia Tech.
Timeout, 12:15 to go, and Virginia Tech up by 4.
Don't give up a thing.
Virginia Tech down by 3 at the half, now up 4, and a big effort off the bench from Alan Callaway.
Well, this is a high percentage shot right here, but it's all predicated on against the zone dribble penetration, and as you can see, a great finish. But the last 2 baskets Virginia Tech scored have been on dribble penetration. And when you're playing a zone, you can't allow dribble penetration because it collapses the zone and creates openings. Georgetown has got to shore that up and do a better job defending the ball.
Out of the timeout, Causey to Owens. Riley on the bench during this possession. Bowman pops loose from the screen, puts it on the floor, has Freeman inside and on the switch. Shot over the shorter Dowdell.
Yeah, he's got a good matchup in there, but once again, he's got to be much stronger taking the ball to the basket.
Freeman just 2 of 7 from the floor this afternoon.
They're going to stay with the zone. And, you know, they're convinced that that's their best defense. And based on shooting percentages until the start of this second half, they were right. But, you know, right now they got to do a better job of covering up the shooters. And there, once again, dribble penetration.
Dowdell with the off-balance shot. Rebound, Ashanti Cook. Now Riley will return after a brief rest at the next whistle for the Hoyas. On the drive, it's Cook, and it's blocked by Gordon.
I think he was looking for somebody coming to the basket, and it just didn't happen. Now we got to turn over the other way.
Matthews just lost the handle, never really quite regained his balance. Right side, Owens. Rebound is pulled down by Collins, who has not seen much playing time today because of the bad back.
Okazi did a good job of finding Owens in the corner. He just couldn't knock down the shot, but I think you're going to see right now, he's going to, Virginia Tech, I think, is going to just kind of slow this thing down a little and make sure they get a good shot and get the ball into Matthews' hands.
Matthews losing his balance again. Scrambles for the ball, and then the reaching foul is called on Ashanti Cook, his first.
Yeah,
Number 4 on Georgetown.
Yeah, Matthews has to be careful because he can't slam the ball down.
Craig Esherick seems to be asking that question of the officials right now. Timeout. Both teams 13 and 13. Virginia Tech with a 2-point lead. And it's now time for the Guinness game summary. And Bob, Virginia Tech has made the most of Georgetown's 13 turnovers.
Well, when you shoot 55% from the field, you're down 2. It's all about points off turnovers. And Virginia Tech has done a tremendous job of maximizing their opportunities when presented. A lot of it's been really Georgetown's carelessness with the ball. Some of these errors have just been unforced.
Bryant Matthews in double figures for the 27th time in 27 games this year and the 46th time in his magnificent career.
Back to a 2-3. I'll tell you what's interesting is Matthews is one of those guys that has a way of getting points real easy. You don't even know he's scoring points. You know, you look at his game and you would never guess with how much time he sat out how really effective he's been. He's very, very deceptive.
10th leading scorer in the country at 22.7, 17 of them today. Leads the Big East in scoring. Riley over Sales. Rebound Dowdell for the Hokies.
Yeah, not a good shot. And we're getting to the point of the game, too, Bob, where a guy like Matthews gives you a chance to really, really take it over down the stretch. This is getting to be his point of the game because he just wears people out. And he's not in foul trouble, so he'll be very aggressive.
Gordon spins. He's doubled. Ball fake. And then Cook bailed him out by committing the foul because really Gordon had very few options.
Well, you know, he was going to shoot it, but he was so off balance that he elected to pass it. But you're right. What Virginia Tech is doing right now is they're doing an excellent job of dribble penetrating, getting in, and either creating a shot off the dribble or for someone else. And Georgetown has just not been able to stop that penetration. Plus, they're using clock. Been very patient.
On the right, it's Gordon. Georgetown is 13th in the Big East in field goal defense at 43.8%. Tough to win that one.
Well, if they dribble the ball off the perimeter and hit the baseline, they're going to have an open shot or skip past the ball.
Shot clock inside 10. Callaway at the high post. He's been outstanding off the bench.
Well, you don't draw it up any better than that. Take time off the clock, high percentage shot, able to rest on offense. Georgetown has got to force Virginia Tech to work a little bit harder, especially on the offensive end.
Callaway 4 of 4 from the floor. Off the bench, 8 points. And a hold will be called down low from behind on Dowdell. That will be his second. And number 5 on Virginia Tech here in the second half.
Well, that is a mismatch because, you know, you've got Owens down there, and he's a guy with some size, 6'6", and Dowdell's going to have a hard time with him. So they might want to go right back to that.
Cook to Riley. Penetrates and sets up the Bowman 3.
That's a huge basket, Bob, because this game was starting to get a little bit away from Georgetown. They needed a lift.
17 points for Bowman. Coming off a 17-point and career-high 15-rebound night Thursday night at Notre Dame.
1-3-1. What Virginia Tech is doing is they're coming down and just passing the ball, and what it's doing to Georgetown is it's forcing them to relax, and then all of a sudden, when you least expect it, boom, it's off the dribble, and Georgetown's not in the stance, and they're not ready for it.
Backdoor cut to Matthews. They carved up that 1-3-1 that time.
Yeah, I think that Craig's going to have to consider going to a different defense because they seem to have it figured out. And I'll tell you, Seth Greenberg is right now excited and wants his team to stretch this thing out.
19 points for Matthews, the senior from Columbia, South Carolina. Cook to Riley. Got the screen from Freeman, and Matthews knocked it away. Riley gets it back. Still 13 on the shot clock. Plenty of time. Now Cook in the shot clock inside 10. Takes the 3, and he didn't have to. Long rebound, however, to Owens.
Yeah, they're getting right now, it's getting to where it's a little bit too much one-on-one. Everybody's trying to get their own shot. They need to figure out something to run out of their offense. Oh, offensive.
On the screen.
Yeah, on Freeman, I believe, wasn't it?
Yep. Number 6 on the Hoyas, and number 4 on the senior, Cortland Freeman. Hokies up 3. Timeout.
Diagnostic service for only $49.95. AMCO. AA. MCO.
Virginia Tech has won 3 of its last 4 and leads by 3. Now let's take a look at the BMW ultimate drive of the game. And Bob, talk about finding the open spot in the zone.
Well, what you do against the zone is you bring a guy from the backside. Defender's got his back turned. You flash him into an open area. That draws him to the ball. And then you feed underneath the zone, especially against the 1-3-1 because there's nobody down there. The bottom guy's out in the corner. So once again, it was drawn up by Seth Greenberg. Excellent offense. Man-to-man now for Georgetown.
With Cook on Dowdell and away from the play, Seth Greenberg didn't like what he saw, so he's going to use a 30-second timeout with 25 seconds left on the shot clock. That's a little unusual. Let's check the Ameritrade out-of-town scoreboard. See what's going on up in Providence. Boston College with a 7-point lead as the Friars making a comeback here in the second half. Big East action. Taking a look at the Advance Auto Parts upcoming schedule. The rest of the Big East action, Villanova and Pittsburgh just getting underway today. Notre Dame will be at St. John's. West Virginia, Miami. That game may mean everything for Georgetown tomorrow. Seton Hall at Rutgers and UConn at Syracuse. If Pittsburgh beats Villanova, the Panthers are the #1 seed in the Big East tournament.
Well, I think Seth Greenberg was not happy. He looked like he was almost going to go to a delay game. Saw it was man-to-man, and now he comes out and Georgetown switched back. But they're in a 2-3 zone right now, trying to get a little bit better coverage on the baseline.
A little cat-and-mouse game going on between the two coaching staffs. On the left, Dowdell. Shot clock all the way down to 3. Sales for 3. Long rebound, and Sales runs it down inside the Matthews.
Yeah, that kills you because there's no reason for Georgetown not to come up with that basket. Virginia Tech has just been quicker and more aggressive to the basketball today, and it's really, really hurt Georgetown in critical times.
The other way, Bowman with a nice left hand on the reverse. Bowman with 19 points. Matthews now with 21. So he has scored 20 or more for the 18th time this year.
Well, what I like about Virginia Tech is their patience. They've got the lead. They're not in a hurry. They've kept the crowd out of it. They haven't forced shots. They've moved the ball, and they're going to get the ball in a position that they like.
Gordon for 3. How did that not stay in? Bowman, who was 5 for 5 from the floor this half with the rebound, and here come the Hoyas inside the 6-minute mark, down by 3.
Well, with them not being able to get Riley involved,
no, we got him about that time.
And they've got to do that. But the thing that's happened is with Riley only having one shot up to that point, 0 for 1, Brandon has come up, Bowman has come up big and kept them really in this game.
Riley with 11, his 22nd double-figure scoring performance of the year. Now the Georgetown crowd trying to encourage the Hoyas, who are 10 and 5 at home this year. Sales, shot clock at 10. Sales gets it back. Dowdell, the Hoyas zone much more active on this Virginia Tech possession. Shot clock at 3. Dowdell's shot is blocked. 1 second left on the shot clock.
Really good defense. They did a nice job of trapping the ball. I don't think Virginia Tech was expecting that, and they got it so buried in the corner that they couldn't rotate it out of there to an open man. Big guys just kind of engulfed.
Riley gets guard, slowly, but seems to be okay. 1 second left to shoot for Virginia Tech. How many plays do you have in this?
Well, not a lot of them, but what you hope to do is maybe get a lob on the backside to a guy like Matthews, going down the backside and hoping that you can throw it over the top of the backboard to get a shot for him.
This is when the players look to the bench and the coach goes and gets a drink of water. You're on your own. Dowdell to Gordon. Did he get it off? Frank Scagliotta says, no, sir.
Yeah, Seth never left his hand. I think Seth Greenberg's complaining. But the fact of the matter is the ball didn't even hit the rim. So, in reality, it would have been a shot clock violation anyway. I think Seth Greenberg's trying to set up the timer for later in the game.
Coach would never do that.
No, not really.
He never did that, right?
Well, we're down to that point now where we're going to start seeing what happens with the marquee players. Now, Riley's out of the game here for a second. There seems to be something bothering his ankle, but we're going to have to see if Bowman and Riley for Georgetown, how they react against Matthews for Virginia Tech. This is when your primetime players have to step up. And it looks like Riley's got a little bit foul. He's coming back in.
I think it's the left knee, Bob, because Lori Michael looked like she slipped one of those rubber protectors.
Yeah, he can't come back in. Yeah, he can't come back in until change of possession, but he'll be back in this game in no time.
Owens on the left. Causey and Cook, both point guards in the game at the same time now, with Riley out with the injury for the moment. Bowman puts it on the floor, finds the open man Freeman, and and as he drove to the hoop, he was fouled by Jamon Gordon, his 3rd and 6th on the Hokies.
Well, Freeman's got to make the free throws. He struggled early in the game. You know, Bowman can't, but he's not going to do a much better job than that. They're obviously going to pay attention to Riley and Bowman, so they're going to be able to create shots, but some of these other guys are going to have to step up now, because I don't think Virginia Tech will let Bowman and Riley beat them.
Freeman now 3 of 5 from the line today, and Riley back in after suffering the knee injury when he blocked the shot. Came down a little bit awkwardly on the sideline in the last Hokies possession.
Cook back in the game, too. They got Kazi. Kazi has really given them, without being a statistic kind of guy, good play today.
Yeah, Craig Esherick calls him an old-school classic point guard out of Gainesville, Georgia, freshman. This is the first Georgetown lead since they were up 38-36. 4 minutes into the second half, right?
2-1-2, 3-quarter trap. Tried to trap it at the 10-second line. Weren't able to. Drop back into there. They're very comfortable with this 2-3 zone. That 1-3-1, they just didn't look very comfortable, nor were they very active in it.
On the left, Gordon throws up the 3, missed everything, and Bowman will chase down the rebound on a hop.
Man, was that ugly.
Bowman's 6th rebound of the day.
That's one of those, if it hits backboard, it could have broken glass.
Gordon 1 of 7 from the floor today. Riley defended by Gordon. He's much bigger than him. Up top, Owens defended by Dowdell, who gives away several inches in that matchup. Riley penetrates to Bowman. Shot clock down to 10. Now Matthews is limping, and he couldn't guard Riley because of it. Now he looks like he's running a little more freely, but he is definitely favoring, looks like the ankle as he comes up the floor.
Riley got in on the basket. He just didn't finish. I wouldn't be surprised. They might want to take a look at rolling Riley into the low post and trying to create a problem with that matchup, because he definitely has size.
Matthews puts it on the floor and shoots over Bowman. Rebound pulled down by Kilkenny Jow at the 3:20 mark. Matthews is still favoring, it looks like, his right ankle.
I think they need to take a real hard look right now at rolling Riley into the low block area, see if they can take advantage of that matchup for Sales.
Riley instead shoots over Sales, and Matthews' ankle didn't bother him on that rebound, did it?
No. You know, the players, the really good players, just play through things. You know,
and he's a really good player.
I mean, he's not only a really good player. You could tell by the way he was getting on players early in the game that he's not only a good player, but he's a great competitor.
Every coach in the league says that exact same thing when talking about Matthews. Bowman whistled for the foul, his 2nd, 7 on the Hoyas, so Matthews will go to the free throw line to shoot the 1-and-1.
Well, Georgetown's looking at, you know, I mean, if they were to lose this game, the fact of the matter is they could still get to the tournament if Miami loses. But, you know, you don't want to go into the tournament without any good feelings. And when you've lost, if they were to lose this game 8 straight, you can't reflect back on any good feelings. And so going to the tournament is not a good thing.
Big miss, and Bowman lost his footing and fell down on the rebound, so that's an automatic travel. The Georgetown fans thought he may have got undercut. Timeout, 2:39 remaining. Georgetown with a 2-point lead over Virginia Tech. 56. It's a 2-point Georgetown lead. Time now for the Cooper Tires Defensive Player of the Game, and what a big effort off the bench, Bob, for that young man.
Well, not only has he made 3 blocks and came up with some key plays, but he's 4 for 4 from the field with 8 points, and he's also got 3 rebounds. So, I mean, it's been a big day for him. So we're down now to the point where both teams, there's very little margin for error.
Virginia Tech has not scored in the last 3 minutes and 51 seconds, yet still trails by only 2.
Well, I was making the point earlier that at least Virginia Tech, if Virginia Tech were to lose and go to the tournament.
Matthews with a crunch time 3. He's got 24 points.
Well, what I was trying to say was, even if Virginia Tech were to lose, you know, they're going to the tournament having won 3 of their last 5. We're going to the tournament winning 3 of their last 5. They're young, and it's the first time they've ever made the tournament, so they're going on a high.
Georgetown comes back, and here's Sales with the rebound. So Virginia Tech with the ball up 1 with 1:50 remaining. Out of Georgetown, the Ameritrade scoreboard. Providence and Boston College. An 11-point Boston College lead. If that score holds up, the Friars would be the number 3 seed in the Big East tournament.
Critical possession for both teams right now.
Matthews on the dribble drive, missed the tough shot, but there's Callaway with the offensive rebound. He went right back up, and no one put a body on Matthews.
Well, let me tell you what, Virginia Tech just out-competed him on the backboard that time. 3 chances in close. There's no way that should happen, especially at this stage of the game with what's on the line.
So Matthews with 5 straight points. He's now got 26, and it's a 3-point Hokies lead as we approach the 1-minute mark. He has scored Virginia Tech's last 9 points. Riley misses the 3, rebound Dowdell.
Yeah, we're getting into foul time now. We can still play. They can still play this out Georgetown without committing a foul, but they've got to get better. Yeah, they've got to get better shots than that. They've got to get a stop, and then I'm not sure, even if they do, who they have, that they can really rely on making a 3.
Bowman is defending Matthews in the man-to-man, and with 15 left in the shot clock, Seth Greenberg takes time. 41.3 left in the game. Virginia Tech leading by 3. The Hokies have won 3 of their last 4, 5 of their last 8. They're already in the Big East tournament, and if the Big East tournament were to the opening round, Rutgers and Villanova, Boston College and Georgetown, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Seton Hall and West Virginia. The top 4 seeds get byes. And if the tournament began today, those 4 would be Pittsburgh, UConn, Providence, and Syracuse. Virginia Tech, Bob, will wind up as the either 9th, 10th, or 11th seed in the tournament, no matter what happens in this game today.
And they're just delighted to be there. Right now, we got a situation where it's going to be a 1-and-1, regardless of who fouls. So whoever's shooting free throws is going to have to earn it. It's not going to be a 2-shot foul. And we're just going to have to, it'll really be interesting. Georgetown has to get a stop here.
There's your score. 40 seconds remain. Gordon penetrates, finds Dowdell on the left. There's the timeout situation left, and as Callaway takes it to the hole, he will draw the foul. But Callaway is not, and I'm being kind here, a good free throw shooter.
Well, now
39.2% from the line.
Well, but you know, everybody, every person, every so to speak dog has his day, and it's one of those deals right now where Callaway, as good as he's played all day, don't be terribly surprised if he makes a free throw here.
He'll get 2 following the 3rd foul on Bowman. Knocks down the first one.
Well, that puts a lot of pressure on Georgetown. They need to hurry it down. They don't need a 3 right now because it's going to be at least a 2-possession game. But they need to look for a quick score early, and then they're going to have to foul.
Callaway with a career-high 9 points this afternoon. Had 8 earlier this year against Morgan State. Misses the second. Big rebound, Freeman. Here we go. 30 seconds left. Shot clock off. Georgetown down 4. Bowman starts to go, lost his footing, and Matthews reaches in for the steal. Bowman nearly got it back, lost it over the end line. Virginia Tech ball, timeout Georgetown.
Yeah, they tried to do too much. You know, Bowman's carried him in the second half, but it really came down to where he was trying to do a little bit too much to create a shot. It's hard to fault a youngster for trying to do too much. But that's one of the things that evolves through the game of basketball, is knowing what you can and can't do. And he just forced a play right here. I mean, he's taken that ball into trouble and gets his head down and then has a chance to get it back. But realistically, even if he would have caught that ball, his foot was out of bounds. So it was going to be Virginia Tech's ball. Georgetown has to foul. I think they've got to try to keep the ball from coming in bounds, and then if it comes in, they've got to foul very quickly. They're looking for people who don't shoot free throws well.
Callaway would be one of them statistically for the year.
But I bet you that Callaway isn't going to get the ball because he's not even in the game.
No.
Seth Greenberg has his best free throw shooters and ball handlers in the game.
Matthews is one of them, gets the ball up the floor to Harris. He juggles it, and there's the steal for Georgetown with 15 to go. Cook down by 4, and they lose the ball, and that ought to do it.
That just about should put it away. Really a shame, because the fact of the matter is that I'm not really sure why Matthews threw the ball long. In fact, he's even, I think, smiling knowing that he made a mistake. He could have held on to the basketball, been fouled, and made free throws. But he elected to throw the ball long, and as it turned out, they were lucky to get it back.
So Dowdell will go to the free throw line. And it would appear that Georgetown will end the regular season with 8 straight losses and will now have to wait to see if West Virginia on the road can beat Miami tonight.
Well, the thing that killed Georgetown is they only had 6 turnovers in the first half, but they had 12 turnovers in the second half. And they're not a team that scores points well enough, so they can't afford to give the opposition extra opportunities.
Dowdell with the miss. Rebound Bowman. He slips and falls with 5 seconds to go. Virginia Tech obviously won't foul. Rebound Faulkner, and that is it. So Virginia Tech ends the regular season by winning 4 of 5. Georgetown ends the regular season with 8 straight losses. And unless West Virginia can beat Miami tonight, Bob, the Hoyas, for the first time ever, will not qualify for the Big East tournament.
Well, like I said before, even if West Virginia does lose, Georgetown has to go into the tournament with not very, very high hopes because they've now lost 8 straight, and they don't have a lot of positives to reflect back on. But a great win for Seth Greenberg and the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Bryant Matthews with 26 points. The Ameritrade scoreboard, Boston College with a 6-point lead at 13th ranked Providence. And as we check the Big East standings, Pittsburgh with a win today would clinch at least a share of the Big Ten title and the #1 seed in the conference tournament. UConn plays tomorrow at Syracuse. Providence, if they lose to Boston College, would wind up as the #3 seed in the conference tournament. And Seton Hall will play tomorrow against Rutgers. Notre Dame 8-7 in conference play. And we got a situation here, Bob, where Georgetown and St. John's, 2 of the premier charter members of the Big East Conference, may be the 2 teams on the outside looking in when the conference tournament starts Wednesday in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could have ever imagined that. If you look back through the history of the tournament, the success that those teams have had, it's hard to believe that the 2 flagship programs of the Big East, St. John's and Georgetown, could both be void of playing in the postseason Big East tournament.
Bob, I saw Virginia Tech play the last time in person on January 28th against UConn, and they are a remarkably improved team since then.
Well, you know, they just keep getting better, and I think when you have a guy like Matthews who can carry you, when you also have young people, freshmen and sophomores, who now are no longer freshmen and sophomores, beginning to believe you have a chance every night out.
So Georgetown finishes the regular season 13-14, 4-12 in the conference. Virginia Tech 14-13, 7-9 in the league. For Bob Weltlich, I'm Bob Picozzi. Thanks so much for joining us. And so long from Washington, where Virginia Tech beats Georgetown 60-55.